In the 1970s, the Mumbai police employed a head constable named Ibrahim Kosker. He was a man known across the city for a strict, uncompromising moral code. Throughout his entire career, he never allowed a single bribe to stain his khaki uniform. Under the very roof of this highly principled officer, a totally different worldview was taking shape. His son, Dawood, had zero interest in school or honest work. Instead, he spent his days staring at the local mobsters, men wearing imported watches and driving luxury cars, who could shut down an entire market with a single wave of their hand. Back then, Mumbai's underworld was entirely controlled by an older generation of established bosses. Men like Haji Mastan and Karim Lala dominated the coastal docks, running a tight monopoly on smuggled goods. At 20 years old, Dawood took an entry-level job at the bottom of Karim Lala's syndicate. His role was strictly logistical, acting as a runner to safely transport shipments of illegal gold and electronics past police checkpoints. But Dawood got greedy. Tasked with delivering a 2 lakh rupee ransom to settle a kidnapping dispute, he skimmed a massive cut for himself. When his bosses found out, he was dragged in front of the gang, beaten until he couldn't stand, and thrown out onto the street. The beating didn't drive Dawood out of the underworld. It convinced him that working for someone else was a strategic mistake. To avoid being treated as a disposable runner, he would have to own the entire operation himself. He immediately started assembling his own independent syndicate, which would eventually become known as D Company. His goal was absolute control over Mumbai's black market, and he was willing to bleed the city dry to get it. A violent turf war erupted between Dawood's new crew and the established Pathan gang. The bloodshed spilled out onto the streets daily, eventually resulting in rival hitmen ambushing and murdering Dawood's older brother, Sabir, inside his car. Instead of a standard drive-by shooting, Dawood engineered a deeply calculated retaliation. He hired an unknown hitman, David Pardesi, who walked into a guarded courtroom and assassinate rival Amirzada right in front of the judge. This brazen daytime hit served a specific strategic purpose. Dawood proved in front of the entire city that D Company operated completely above the law, violently rewriting the hierarchy of the Mumbai underworld. But brute force only scales so far. Dawood understood that to truly grow his empire, he needed to weaponize capital and exploit the system from within. He took advantage of a deeply flawed legal environment, where bail was standard and jail time was rare. Even while racking up serious indictments, Dawood used his illicit wealth to buy elite lawyers and bribe local police, ensuring his core operations never slowed down. This organizational chart shows exactly how he handled his growing cash flow. Instead of hoarding extortion money, Dawood actively laundered it upward into legal, high-yield industries like commercial real estate and Bollywood film production. However, the local authorities eventually started closing in. A group of honest police officers relentlessly pursued him, and by late 1985, the Supreme Court of India officially issued a non-bailable arrest warrant. Yet the damage was already done. The years of systemic legal delays provided Dawood the exact incubation period he needed to build a wealthy, fully operational criminal corporation right under the government's nose. Before the police could execute that warrant, Dawood fled India permanently. He relocated his headquarters to Dubai, a jurisdiction completely insulated from Indian extradition laws. This created a massive logistical problem. How does an uneducated fugitive living thousands of miles away manage a volatile workforce of over 5,000 hitmen and extortionists across multiple Indian states? The answer was extreme internal discipline. When a Mumbai lieutenant named Babu Resham grew too ambitious, Dawood simply paid off his corrupt police contacts to have the man murdered inside a secure police lockup. But he balanced that ruthlessness with heavy financial incentives. If a loyal foot soldier was injured or sent to prison, Dawood covered their hospital bills, paid their legal fees, and sent full monthly salaries directly to their families. This management style kept his forces motivated and highly lethal. When rival gangsters murdered his brother-in-law, Dawood commanded his hitmen from Dubai to storm Mumbai's JJ hospital, firing over 400 rounds to eliminate the attackers right in their hospital beds. By executing internal rivals without hesitation and heavily subsidizing his loyalists, Dawood managed D Company with the exact same efficiency and precision as a multinational corporation. The entire nature of the syndicate shifted in 1992. Following the demolition of the Babri Masjid, severe communal riots tore through India, polarizing the nation. In Dubai, Dawood watched the fallout of the riots. Pakistan's intelligence agency, the ISI, identified this period of national instability as a strategic vulnerability, noting that Dawood's logistical empire could provide the precise infrastructure needed to strike India from within. Looking at this map of the western Indian coastline, you can see the deal they struck. The ISI offered Dawood absolute protection in Dubai, in exchange for using his established coastal smuggling routes to quietly land massive shipments of RDX and military-grade weapons into India. That logistical partnership ultimately caused catastrophic devastation. On March 12, 1993, 12 coordinated bombs detonated across Mumbai. The blasts killed over 250 innocent civilians and left thousands permanently injured. The 1993 bombings redefined the D Company as a global terror outfit. Dawood was placed on every major international watch list, officially categorized as India's most wanted man. The bombings immediately shattered his empire. Key Hindu lieutenants, like Chota Rajan, abandoned D Company in disgust. They declared themselves patriotic gangsters and turned against him, sparking years of bloody internal gang wars. Even today, Dawood Ibrahim remains a high-profile fugitive. He lives a highly sheltered existence in the wealthy neighborhoods of Karachi, completely reliant on the Pakistani military for protection, while acting as a state-backed asset to fund their dark operations. The rise of Dawood Ibrahim proves that when systemic corruption goes unchecked, criminal networks eventually transform into tools for geopolitical warfare. Local crime provides the blueprint. High-level corruption provides the protection to threaten an entire nation's security.